What's up guys, Justin here, and for the month of October I want to do something special in honor of the World Series. The World Series, also referred to as the Fall Classic, is baseball's biggest stage, pitting the champions of the American and National League in a best-of-7, winner-takes-all matchup for the ages. The series has been played every year since 1903, and in that time there have been some all-time moments. Here is my list of the top 5 moments in World Series history. Number 5, 1988 World Series, Kirk Gibson's home run. The 1988 Fall Classic featured the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Oakland Athletics. The Dodgers were the underdogs of the 1988 postseason, and really the whole year, as they weren't expected to make any noise coming off of just 73 wins the season prior. Kirk Gibson led the Dodgers that year in home runs and was by far their most feared hitter. However, he injured both his left hamstring and right knee in the NLCS against the Mets and was not expected to play at all in the World Series. Winning 4-3 going into the bottom of the 9th inning, Oakland brought in their feared closer, Dennis Eckersley. With a runner on, Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda brought in the hobbled Kirk Gibson, who had spent the last half of the game taking swings in the batting cages beneath the stadium. Gibson could barely walk, so all he was really called upon to do was go deep, and go deep he did. On a 3-2 pitch, Eckersley hung a backdoor slider to Gibson, who hammered it over the right field fence. Vin Scully had one of his most memorable calls in that situation.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
And Kirk Gibson would not make another appearance at all due to his injury. Number 4, 1986 World Series, Bill Buckner's era. The 1986 Fall Classic featured a matchup between the heavily favored Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets. The Red Sox were leading the series 3-2 going into the bottom of the 10th inning, holding just a 5-3 lead. Boston's Calvin Schiraldi was on the hill when he allowed 3 straight singles to bring the score to 5-4.
And that's going to be hitting to center field, base hit. Here comes Carter to score, and the time run is at third in Kevin Mitchell.
In comes Bob Stanley, who threw a wild pitch to bring the game to 5-5. In steps the Mets' Mookie Wilson. On the 10th pitch of the at-bat, Wilson hit a routine ground ball to Bill Buckner at first base, and the rest is history. Every time I think of this play, I can vividly hear Vin Scully going,
"Behind the bag! It gets through Buckner! Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it!"
Bill Buckner allowed the ball to go through his legs at first base, allowing the Mets' Ray Knight to score, giving the Mets the victory in Game 6. The Mets would trail in Game 7 before another comeback would give them their second and final World Series victory. Number 3, 2011 World Series, David Freese's Game 6. The 2011 Fall Classic was supposed to be the Texas Rangers' time to shine. They had just come off a 5-game defeat in the 2010 World Series at the hands of the San Francisco Giants, and in the offseason had added Adrian Beltre to an already loaded lineup. They would go on to face the St. Louis Cardinals in the 2011 World Series, and it was one to remember. By Game 6, the Rangers had a 3-2 series lead and were poised to clinch their first ever World Series victory. In the bottom of the 9th, holding a 7-5 lead, the Rangers turned to their steady closer Neftali Feliz to give them 3 outs to send them to the promised land. A double to Albert Pujols and a walk to Lance Berkman sent David Freese to the plate. On a 1-2, 98-mile-per-hour fastball, Freese launched one to right.
Into right, well hit.
Sending the Rangers' Nelson Cruz to the wall, where he unsuccessfully tried to make a leaping catch. Pujols and Berkman would score on Freese's game-tying triple, but in the bottom of the 11th inning, Freese led off that frame with a game-winning solo home run to force a Game 7.
Freese hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
What's cool about this is that the Cardinals were the first team to come back from deficits in both the 9th and 10th innings, and they were also the first team to score in both the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th innings. The Cardinals would then go on to win the series in the next game in Game 7. Number 2, 2001 World Series, Luis Gonzalez's bloop single. The 2001 Fall Classic featured the defending World Series champion New York Yankees and the upstart Arizona Diamondbacks, who were in just their 4th season in existence. The Diamondbacks were led that year by the offense of Luis Gonzalez,
Pitch deep to right. Diamondbacks take the lead
with his 57 home runs, and the excellent 1-2 pitching combo of Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. They were tasked with preventing the Yankees from winning their 4th consecutive Fall Classic. The Diamondbacks had forced the Yankees into a Game 7, in what was an excellent pitching duel between the Yankees ace Roger Clemens
Inning over.
and the Diamondbacks' Curt Schilling.
1 out.
Yankees manager Joe Torre then brought in his closer, the all-time great Mariano Rivera, to get a 6-out save. But in the bottom half of the 9th inning, Rivera had allowed the game-tying run to score when Luis Gonzalez came to the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs. The prolific power hitter in Gonzalez then hit a bloop single above Derek Jeter's head at shortstop to give the Diamondbacks the first World Series in franchise history. And last but not least, number 1, 93 World Series, Joe Carter's home run. The 1993 Fall Classic featured the defending World Series champion Toronto Blue Jays and the Philadelphia Phillies. The Blue Jays were up 3-2, but were in trouble late in Game 6. The Phillies had just scored 5 runs in their half of the 7th inning,
Deep enough to bring the go-ahead run in for Philadelphia.
to give them a 6-5 lead going into the bottom of the 9th. The Phillies then brought in their closer, Mitch Wild Thing Williams. They called him Wild Thing because of his unorthodox delivery, where he would violently fall off the side of the mound, and because of his shaky command. Mitch Williams walked Ricky Henderson and gave up a single to Paul Molitor to bring up the dangerous Joe Carter. Carter led the Blue Jays that season in home runs and certainly was no one to be messed with. On a 2-2 pitch, Carter smacked a home run over the left field fence, giving the Blue Jays the World Series title. Here's a fun fact for you. My dad, who at the time was rooting very hard for the Phillies, fell asleep during that game, only to wake up just in time to watch Joe Carter make history. Congrats, Dad. And there you have it, the top 5 moments in World Series history. Do you feel like something got left off? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.